There's this thing that I found online called the Uncensored Library. It's a collection of texts that is banned in different countries. And look at how beautiful this map is to start off with. So there's this. This is what the Uncensored Library looks like. Absolutely fantastic. Basically, it's a collection of, I think it's like 6 journalists or so, and that who's had their voices censored at some point or another during their time. And so they've made a collection of all their works that have been censored. And so we're gonna read through a couple of them today and see what we can learn, what doesn't want to be learned. So over here we got, I think this is just a sitting area. At least it looks like it. It's absolutely beautiful, whatever the hell it is. Which, okay, so this is Russia. Okay, so this is the Russian building. Russia. Oh, it's all in Russian. So it's not like I'm gonna understand that. Yeah. It makes sense that all the Russian text is in Russian. I guess that, oh wait, oh, it's, oh, so they also translated it to English. The Russian internet and the battle's not won. Cool. And so they got like little tentacles, which I'm assuming these are all, oh, is this binary down here? Hold on. Oh, that's sick if that's binary. Yeah, I think it is. So they're showing off like internet censorship is because of the tentacle-like monster they have to deal with. Let's start with Russian internet under pressure. The use of data encryption programs as an excuse for terrorism charges, aka the network affair. 5 years in jail for tweeting about about children of policemen in somebody else's chat logs. On Telegram as evidence on preparing civil unrest. The affair in the city. These are just a few examples of repression in Russia. In the network affair, a terrorist case fabricated by it's probably like the CIA for Russia. Young anti-fascists were also accused of using a jabber messaging and Tails, a Linux distribution aimed at preserving anonymity. They were sentenced to 6 to 8 years in prison. We can only wonder which kind of software one should use to be considered a loyal citizen. It's probably no coincidence that Vladimir Putin recently signed a law that makes it mandatory to pre-install Russian software on all electronic devices sold to Russian. Ooh, here we go. This is our map. So here's the World Freedom Index. So that's what this thing is here. And we'll take a look at that in one hot second. So we've been to Russia. There's Vietnam, Egypt, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, and Reporters Without Borders, which I believe is probably just like a, in general, everything else section. Cool. Let's go take a look. What's it say down here? How do I find my way around? The map behind you shows the layout. 6 pressure plates take you to the specific places. Will there be more books? Yeah, so we've read this. This is the FAQ section. So this is the World Freedom Index. Oh my god, look at this map. Absolutely insane. So here's the, once we get through the clouds, here's all the flags of the countries in the world. Hey, look, it's the flag's the big plus. This is beautiful. Crazy. All right, let's drop back down, make our way over to the box, and let's see what this is all about, because this is probably a determinant. World Freedom Index. Okay, so this shows you in order the countries with the best and worst censorship and freedom kind of thing. So where's the United States stand on this? I'm curious. Norway, Sweden, Finland. So all the Danish countries really like their freedoms, which makes sense. Switzerland, New Zealand, Jamaica, Costa Rica, Ireland, Iceland. Ooh, I don't see United States. 48. Wow. That's crazy. And then what's all the way at the back? The worst is Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan is behind North Korea. Oh my gosh. China, Vietnam, Sudan, Syria. Djibouti. I can't believe it. Djibouti doesn't have political rights. Saudi Arabia. The Lao people. Interesting. Okay. So this is like a map image to kind of show you who's got the most and least freedom to speak. Insane. So it kind of gives you like a visual representation of what we're dealing with. So I think it's like the lighter the color, the more freedoms, because you got these right here, they're white, they're the best as of right now. And then it gets to yellows, and then oranges, to reds, and then black, which ain't doing too hot. Really well made map too. We're gonna go back over here. So we went and visited Russia. I think what we're gonna do is start from the back and move our way up. Because now that we have a map to deal with, that shows us exactly what we're looking at. We visited Russia over there. We could hit up Vietnam and just be done with that wing, and I think that's probably the smart idea. So where's Vietnam? All right, Vietnam. So it's 176th out of the 180 countries. Ooh, okay, so each one's got a different theme to it. This one's a maze. All right, so what is this whole maze of truth nonsense? So this is in Vietnamese, this is in English. All right, so we got the counter-revolutionary nature of the Vietnamese communist regime and the multi-party democracy, the key of strengthening the national economy, which is Nguyen Van Dai, president of Vietnam's Unregistered Brotherhood of Democracy, and Nguyen Van Dai again. Today, the CPV's leadership, there is no person in the working class or farmers. They're all summed up in an idiom that everyone in Vietnam knows. When it comes to the appointing of government roles, first comes the descendant, second comes the relative, third comes the money, and lastly, the one with the wisdom. Ooh, it's a cool one. Therefore, young people who are talented and ethical, but are not descendants of the party's officials, without bribes to run jobs or relations with the state officials, never have the opportunity to become party or state officials. There are a few cases of talented people being recruited to disguise themselves, but as soon as they leave because they could not integrate with the entire system of bureaucracy, greedy and corrupt officials, the communists who did the revolution were not for the people, they're for the country. They used the blood of the people to make revolution, to make the power to them. They used the power to salvage the wealth of the country, to serve the luxurious lives and their families and their descendants. All right, next is, we got Saudi Arabia, Reporters Without Borders, Mexico, and Egypt. Alrighty then. So they're 172nd out of 180. We're gonna let this load in real quick, but I think we have a pretty good idea on which one this is. Now I'm curious if this is supposed to be representative of a cage, or if this is supposed to be representative of, I don't remember what the name of the religious, The Hague, is it? No, maybe. Still, either way. We'll have to see if it's going to be talking about like religious freedom or not. This might just be a jail cell. Okay, so there's a lot for this one. Okay, so we have 5 articles. Saudi Arabia's crown prince already controls the nation's media. Now he's squeezing it even further. Made in 2018. Oh, what the Arab world needs most is free expression. Saudi Arabia's reforms now face a terrible choice. Saudi Arabia wasn't always this oppressive, now it's unbearable, 2017. And by blaming the 1979 for Saudi Arabia's problems, the Crown Prince is peddling revolutionist history. Over the past 18 months, MBS's communications team with the royal court publicly has been chastised, and worse, intimidated anyone who disagrees. Saad al-Qawtani, leader of that unit, has a blacklist and called for Sauds to add their names to it. Saudis to add their names to it. Writers like me, whose criticism is offered respectively, seem to be considered more dangerous than the most strident Saudi opposition based in London. This music's a bit too loud. There we go. The government's arrested dozens of intellectuals, clerics, and social media figures over the past year, even though most are actively supportive of MB's reforms. Complaint journalists are rewarded with money. Compliant journalists are rewarded with money and access to senior officials. MBS has full control over the broadcast and digital content that is produced in this country while in his kingdom. It's just the all the reporters one. Ooh, what are you? I believe this is the reporter section, but I don't see any books here for me to look at. This just might be a... This might be showing off like each node consists of like one reporter. Oh yeah, here it is. No freedom without press freedom. There's got to be like a book here somewhere. Oh, look. Let's see one. Let's go back. Let's see what's next. Next on the list we got Mexico and Egypt are the last ones for us to take a look at. Whew. So it's ranked 144th out of 180, which is actually better than some of the ones we've seen so far. I remember Saudi Arabia was far worse. The Uncensored Library is honoring the 12 killed Mexican journalists and their sacrifice for press freedom. Although not at war, it's one of the deadliest countries for journalists and surpasses Syria. Collusion between officials and organized crime poses a grave threat to journalist safety and cripples the judicial system at all levels. The journalists who cover sensitive political stories or organized crime are warned, threatened, and often gunned down in cold blood. Others have been abducted and never seen again. Take a look. This is... Oh, it's got pictures of all the journalists. Wow. So they've digitized them and put them in here. That's really interesting. All right. Between the Furrows. Jose's only childhood memory are green, leafy furrows in most furrows. The bushes have so many leaves that parts look like an attractive fist, fragile and inviting. In between the furrows is always a humid, exposed, ready soil, waiting for rains and seeds. His sister plays with dolls and he plays with cars, the spinning tops and the marbles. Jose finds himself in a dilemma. He does not know if he's going to sell this year's harvest to the village above or the one below. He doesn't explain his doubt. He is overwhelmed by a heartache that makes the other type of furrow grow. Those bottomless ones, those with on the brow. It's Pot, his parents, uncles, and neighbors. All village once grew marijuana. Over there, on the top of the mountain, on the hillsides, on the patios, behind the mountain, in the forest, a few meters from the river, above the ravine below. Anyone else he recalls, and his eyes mist up, surrounded by the wrinkles, even more bottomless. Those, the furrows, the weeds, his sister playing with the dolls, giving paper for food, him with his toy cars, and the marbles. There's nothing left. There's just 2 tons of his hidden marijuana. If he sells it to the village above him, the villagers below will kill him. And if he sells it to the village below, the others will kill him. And then he will have cars or money. Interesting poem. I'm assuming that... I'm not sure if that was non-fiction or fiction. And then finally, we have Egypt. Which... 163rd of 180. The tip scales symbolize... Oh, so this actually explains what each thing is. Okay, so we're going to have to go back and take a look. The tip scales symbolize Egypt's draconian laws that impose long prison sentences for anyone who dares to criticize. We got security directives instruct media to attack National Council for Human Rights. Becoming legal on Mada Masser's decision to apply for a license under new media law. How you will be affected by the new cybercrime law, a guide. From the Torah, Harry Potter in the Egyptian prison. What? I'm curious to read that one. A presidential directive to freeze parliament. Now parliamentary formations to be engineered by a national security agency. Oh, these are all pretty recent, 2019. And looking to the latest acquisition of an Egyptian media companies by the General Intelligence. How we played with it in the visiting room, I explained the story to my mom. I approached the guards who sit at the entrance of the wing, ready for the second visit day search to pat me down. I place the bags in front of him. He checks it, the contents one by one: food, clothes, sweets, soap, When he gets to the Wrangler box, he peers at it, then opens it, and he takes out the wand, turns over several times, bemused, then looks at me. What's this? He asks. I hesitate awkwardly, venture over. Ever heard of Harry Potter? He stares at me, then I'm speaking Chinese. Then turns his attention back to the wand, starts trying to bend it in half. I decide it's better to tell him the truth before he breaks it. It's a magic wand. He raises a glance at me slowly, looks me straight in the eyes, returns the glance with total seriousness. God protects us. Whatever next? He scoffs, slapping his hands together, then shakes his head, having tossed the wand and its box back into the bag, and waves it through. But yeah, if you have any interest in downloading this mod pack, I will be linking it in the description, because, man, this thing is impressive. And they say that they're going to be updating it, so it's a good thing to keep an eye on. Yeah, I think that'll be everything for this.